The problem with talking about current relevant topics is that once they stop being relevant, they stop mattering. The problem, on the other hand, with talking about anything else is that it doesn't matter to begin with. Hey there, it's me again, here to ferry you through the strange and wondrous inner workings of my personal insanity. No, some of you might have been wondering what exactly I've been doing with my whole summer. I know I have. Some project progress has been made, and we'll talk about that, but a lot of it has just been sitting like this, letting afternoons pass me by in an ongoing effort to take inventory of this strange world that I've found myself in. And today I'd like to explore some of the processing that's gone on, the things that I've been working on and thinking about, etc. Let's go. The inciting incident for this installment in my new Dispatch series is not, you'll be happy to hear, an obscure and only loosely relevant personal anecdote, but rather this, the newspaper. A few months ago, I wrote a post on my website about AI, topical, I know, in which I basically said I wasn't worried about it and gave a rough outline of how someone like me, who is generally speaking more analog than most people these days, might take advantage of the new technologies in the near future. But I guess not everyone has gotten around to reading my AI post yet because the New York Times keeps yelling at me about it, and so is everyone and everything else right now. What it boils down to, I think, this concern over AI, is an overarching fear that the world is changing at an increasingly fast rate, and at some point normal humans are going to be left unable to keep up with the pace at which our species is hurtling itself into the future. We're still grappling with the effects of industrialization, and we've barely even started to understand the effects of the internet, and now here comes this new thing and nobody wants to deal with it. Imagine a world in which industrialization happened, but then the internet didn't happen. Like, for whatever reason, the technology of the human race got capped at 1975 levels. This would be a very, very bad thing. And not just because it would mean that our recent advancements in communication and medicine wouldn't happen, but also because in our ongoing, albeit less than adequate efforts to fight climate change, the internet is indispensable. There's no way we'd have a chance at solving climate change if the world was still run by telephones and typewriters and giant IBM computers. And so now we've got the internet. It's great. I'm a big fan. But it's been causing us an awful lot of problems, hasn't it? And maybe we won't get a grapple on those problems until we can figure out this new AI thing. Assuming that is that AI is, like everyone else is saying, the next big revolutionary thing. This is the crux of my concept here. Innovation is required to solve old problems and therefore has to continue. There's no universe in which the human race just finds a stopping place for our technological development, even when we know, as we do now, that continuing that development will cause more problems. So, TLDR, you can't solve climate change with a typewriter and the newspaper, and you can't fix the internet by sending some emails and making a podcast. Okay, whoa, but I'm one to talk about fucking any of this, because this whole time that I've been telling you that you can't solve modern problems with old technology, I was outside taking more film photos. Yes, that's right, I actually have done some projects this summer. Last summer, when I first started learning how film photography worked, I mostly used this camera, the Minolta X700, which is from the 80s and has a very handy program auto setting. So all those pictures I took last year here in LA and also on my trip to Japan were basically flukes because I did not make any setting adjustment whatsoever. But last year in school I took a photography class, so I now have a basic understanding of what aperture, shutter speed, and ISO mean and how to manipulate them. And then at the beginning of this summer, my Minolta stopped working, and so I've been forced to use this camera, which is my grandfather's Nichromat from the 60s, and this does not have a program auto setting. Not that you care, but if you'd like to stare at some of these pictures for more than a few seconds, I will be putting them up on my website, which I overhauled at the beginning of this summer, so it looks nicer now. So you can check that out. It's down in the description thing. I also might be selling prints and like cards of some of these pictures at some point, so stay tuned for that also. God, what else was I even gonna talk about today? Let's do roll Book Corner. Welcome back to the Book Corner, home of the most incredible but ridiculous book recommendations of all time. We have a lot of books to talk about today, so let's not dilly-dally. Now, this first one is a little bit basic, but if you've never heard of it before, it's going to blow your mind, and that is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. When I first picked this up, I will admit, I thought it would have a little bit more to do with Procopius, but nope. It's a mystery thriller all about these dark academia college kids who kill one of their best friends and basically get away with it through a combination of Latin messages, Greek verb conjugations, and very, very pretentious dress clothes. It'll either drive you insane with paranoia and disgust, or make you want to become a classics major. One or the other. Go read it. The next book is Beware of Pity by Stefan Zweig. Oh boy. If you are like me and overthink anything and everything to an extraordinary degree, this is the perfect book for you. It's about a guy who meets this girl at a party, and he fucks up their first social interaction so badly that he ends up derailing his entire life because he feels bad and overthinks it. It's great. It also happens to be the book that loosely inspires The Grand Budapest Hotel, which is my favorite movie, so if you also love that movie, as you should, then you should read this book. This next book's storyline is more confusing than the timelines of Metal Gear Solid and Kingdom Hearts combined. Just from that description alone, you should be able to tell that I'm talking about Italo Calvino's If on a Winter Night's a Traveler. This book is so delightful in the way that it strings you along between one meaningless plot point and the next for the entire duration of the book. And you'll either stop reading it out of annoyance or out of an overload of joy. One or the other, there is no in between. I'm pretty sure you won't finish this book, but you should read it, because it's awesome. Okay, finally we have The Magicians by Lev Grossman. How-to phrase. This book is every bad 90s movie ever, plus every bad 2000s YA novel ever. Sprinkle in a little bit, but not nearly enough self-awareness, and maybe a tablespoon of nihilism, and that's this book. It's the worst. This book is terrible. Please read it. I need help. Maybe someday the speed at which the world is moving will become so great that it actually will be impossible for a normal person to keep up with what's happening. But so long as I can sit here in an atmosphere of peace and quiet, and I read my books and my newspapers and take pictures with my cameras and make these videos and do my projects, I really think that the world will be okay. I really believe that. And yeah, I guess this summer has been, in part, an opportunity for me to still prove to myself that that is possible. And it's been really nice. But I guess now I should get back to work. So I'll see you soon.